A good evening to you and welcome to the 2019 NCAA Division II Men's Basketball Selection Show. I'm your host, Tyler Bradfield. Tonight we are set to reveal the 64 teams that will be competing in this year's tournament, all culminating to the Elite Eight in Evansville, Indiana, and then eventually the National Championship on March 30th. This year's field is comprised of 64 teams with 24 automatic conference qualifiers and 40 at-large bids selected by the committee. Before we reveal this year's bracket, who better to talk to than the chair of the tournament committee himself, John Mark Hall, who is also the athletic director at Southern Indiana. John Mark, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll get into the specifics of the bracket throughout the course of the show, but first off, from a retrospective, general standpoint, how would you describe the process that went into narrowing it down to 64 teams this year?
It was a great process. It was a long day for all of us, but that's what we signed up to do. We know that going in. It's very important for us to discuss a lot of issues, make sure we have the right teams in the bracket. These coaches and student athletes worked their tails off for years to get this opportunity. So Donnie Wagner at the NCAA led a great group of the 8 regional chairs today, and we feel really good about what we came up with.
Well, certainly a big thanks for joining us. We'll check back in with you throughout the course of the show, but right now we'll get right to the bracket. It's broken down into 8 regions with 8 teams in each region. We start in the Atlantic region. Our first team in, and the host of the Atlantic region, is the 1 seed Indiana University of Pennsylvania. The Crimson Hawks are the number 2 ranked team in the coaches poll out of the PSAC. IUP won the conference title earlier today by defeating Mercyhurst 56-49. The Crimson Hawks are an impressive 29-2 on the year, riding a 10-game win streak. The only 2 losses of the year came to Mercyhurst in the regular season and Slippery Rock. In the opening round, they will host Westchester. This is a rematch from the PSAC tournament. Semifinals played yesterday. The Golden Rams of Westchester receive an at-large bid after they went 13-1 at home and won 20 games for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Coach Damon Blair won his 200th career game this year, which is 2nd all-time in school history. At the 4th seed and next line on the bracket is Mercyhurst. Mercyhurst was defeated, as mentioned, by IUP in the PSAC championship, but still received an at-large bid at 23-6. The Lakers have the 2nd best defense in the country, only allowing 61 points per game, and they have held 5 opponents to under 50 points. Their first game on a neutral floor in the tournament will be against Fairmont State. With a 22-8 record, Fairmont State was upset in the semifinals of the Mountain East Conference tournament, but still grabs an at-large bid. Fairmont State is no stranger to the tournament. In 2017, Fairmont State made a postseason run all the way to the national championship. The Falcons came up just shy as they fell to Northwest Missouri State in the title game. To the bottom 4 teams in the Atlantic region, West Liberty books its tournament ticket next as the 2 seed. No big surprise here by the at-large bid for West Liberty, given their 26-3 record. The 7th seed this year is East Stroudsburg State. The Warriors return to the tournament, where last year they reached the Elite Eight before falling in Sioux Falls to Northern State. This is the 3rd 20-win season in the last 4 years for the Warriors. Champions of the CIAA get to see its name next. That is Virginia State. The Trojans received an automatic bid after defeating Shaw in the conference championship game. This marks the program's 4th tournament appearance and 3rd conference championship in history. The Trojans are 27-4 on the year and led by Coach Lonnie Blow Jr. Virginia State ranks number 13 in the country according to the coaches poll. The final team to qualify in the Atlantic region is the 6th seed Notre Dame in Ohio. Notre Dame played West Liberty in the Mountain East Conference Championship. It stands 22-8 entering the tournament field. John Mark, the first 8 teams, the Atlantic region is set. What jumps out to you from this first region?
Well, it's a fantastic region, one that's been strong for a long time. I think the thing that jumps out to me is Indiana, PA, and West Liberty have both played in national championship games in Evansville in the Ford Center, where the Elite Eight will be this year. So they have a lot of history in that building, and again, just a really strong region top to bottom.
Well, it will be an exciting region. That is the Atlantic region, and down we go to our next region. The Central region is highlighted by the number 1 team in the country, Northwest Missouri State. The Bearcats are an unblemished 32-0 and one of the favorites to win the NCAA tournament this year. Their average margin of victory has been nearly 22 points. The Bearcats won the MIAA tournament and regular season crowns to lock in their automatic bid. This is the 6th straight season the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats have appeared in the NCAA tournament. The Bearcats won the national championship in 2017. They will open up with Minnesota State. Minnesota State is 18-11 and checks into the Central Regional as the 8th seed. St. Cloud State is up next with an at-large bid after being knocked out of the NSIC tournament by Wayne State. The Huskies are 22-8 on the year. Senior guard Gage Davis was named the Conference Player of the Year after he became the school, conference, and state of Minnesota's all-time leading scorer with over 2,500 career points this year. The Huskies see Southern Nazarene in the opening round at 28-5. The next team to qualify is the 2-seed Northern State. We say hello to those of you watching from the Wolves watch party. For the second consecutive year, the Northern State Wolves have won the NSIC tournament. That conference crown locks in an automatic bid for Northern State. The Wolves are 26-6 on the year with 3 all-conference players and the conference coach of the year. Northern State reached the national championship last year but suffered a heartbreaking loss by 2 to Ferris State in the title game. The final score 71-69. Northern State finished number 25 in the country this season. Their opening round game will feature Southeastern Oklahoma State at 22-7 as the 7th seed. The last 2 teams in the Central region are Washburn at 24-7 as the 3 seed and Missouri Southern State as the 6th seed at 23-7. John Mark, you see the Central region there with the 8 teams. The number 1 team in the country, along with last year's runner-up, certainly headlines this group. But what sticks out to you as you glance over this region?
Well, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, Northwest Missouri to go through the MIAA undefeated in their entire regular season, undefeated, incredible feat. Northern State, again, as you mentioned, national runner-up last year, but just have a really strong region, really spent a lot of time on this region, a lot of really good teams. In fact, we had some good teams that didn't crack this regional, but just really strong. Southern Nazarene, 28 wins. That's just an incredible feat at the Division II level. So, again, really tough competition. Northwest Missouri, the favorite, but it's going to be a tough regional.
We'll see who represents the Central region in Evansville as part of the Elite 8. We move on down to the East region with our bracket. Serving as the host in the East region and the number 1 seed is St. Anselm. The Hawks rank number 23 in the final coaches poll of the year at 22-5. The Northeast 10 Coach of the Year, Keith Dixon, leads the team along with 2-time Player of the Year, Tim Gears. The Hawks ranked as high as number 4 this year and opened up the season with a program best 10 straight wins. This is the 7th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance for the Hawks. In the opening round, they will host Malloy. What a year for the Lions. This is the Lions' first conference title and NCAA tournament appearance in school history since the basketball program started in 1992. Malloy defeated Bridgeport in the championship game of the ECC tournament in overtime to claim the crown. As the 3 seed, it's New Haven. The Chargers out of the Northeast 10 Conference reached the tournament by an at-large bid. This is the first 20-win season for New Haven since 2014 when they last qualified for the NCAA tournament. Welcome back, New Haven, and certainly well-deserved. In the opening round, the Chargers will play the 4th seed, and that is Damon. The Wildcats won the ECC regular season and ranks number 19 in the country. They were upset in the conference tournament by the 4-seed Bridgeport, 79-77. However, their 24-5 record helped secure an at-large selection into the tournament field. We're halfway home here on the East region, and booking its ticket next is the 5-seed Merrimack. Champions of the Northeast 10, Merrimack locks in an automatic bid. This is the 3rd conference championship in school history and the first in 19 years. Merrimack has qualified for the tournament the last 2 years. Last year, Merrimack fell to Bloomfield in the East Region semifinal. This year, Merrimack is 22-9, which is the best record under Joe Gallo in his 8 seasons as the head coach, tying a school record for wins in just a single season. Next in is Dominican. At 23-7, the Chargers are champions of the CACC. They beat Bloomfield College in the championship game this afternoon for a 2nd consecutive year to secure one of the 24 automatic bids into the tournament. Dominican is riding a 6-game win streak into the tournament. Down to the final 2 teams here in the East region, and one of them is Lemoyne. The Dolphins were upset in overtime during the Northeast 10 Conference tournament, but make it into the tournament by way of an at-large bid. The Dolphins are 18-9 on the year. Last season, they won the East region while beating Jefferson, St. Rose, and Bloomfield along the way. Lastly, the final team qualifying here in the East region is St. Thomas Aquinas. Coach Anderson and the Spartans claim their spot in the NCAA tournament as an at-large selection. The Spartans are 23-6 on the season. Over the last 4 years, they have won 104 games as a program. That is the most wins of any team in the East region during that span. Well, that is the East region for you, John Mark. It's hard not to like the 1 seed here, But in the East, what strikes you as a possible team that could challenge the Hawks?
Well, I think you look at a lot of teams, but I think you can look at Lemoyne and New Haven. They've really played, as we saw today as a national committee, they've really played a strong schedule. Their strength of schedule numbers were really strong. That should prepare a team for the tournament and really help them as they try to get through this difficult bracket. You have some traditional powers, as you mentioned, St. Anselm and St. Thomas Aquinas. Just the consistency of those programs is outstanding.
Well, that is the East region, and back to the bracket we go as we move along and stare down the Midwest region. In the Midwest, it's Lewis receiving the #1 seed as they will serve as hosts. Lewis was the regular season champion of the Great Lakes Valley Conference and ranked number 15 in the country. Lewis was upset in overtime by Drury in the semifinals of the conference tournament and qualifies via an at-large bid. The Flyers are 24-5 on the season. This is their first tournament appearance since 2016 when they lost in the opening round to Saginaw Valley State. Kendall McCollum was named the GLVC Men's Basketball Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year as well. Lewis in the first round will play the 8th seed, and that is Grand Valley State. GVSU is 19-12 on the year after making a run to the championship of the GLIAC tournament. Congratulations to Grand Valley State on their selection. Checking in as the 4th seed is Southern Indiana. USI advanced to the semifinals of the GLVC tournament, but came up just short to #2 Bellarmine. The Screaming Eagles are 22-8 on the year. USI missed the tournament last year, but qualified in 2017. In the first round, USI, they will see Ashland. The Ashland Eagles ranked #21 in the coaches poll and finished 23-6. They felt as though their tournament resume was certainly good enough for an at-large selection, and it was. The Eagles stand as the only team to win at #8 Davenport. The Eagles also boast 2 wins over last year's national champion Ferris State and beat everyone in their conference at least once. To the bottom half of the Midwest region is the 2 seed, and that is Bellarmine. Ranked #11 in the country, Bellarmine secured its spot in the NCAA tournament earlier today by knocking off Drury in the GLVC championship game. The Knights have won 8 of their last 9 entering the NCAA tournament, and last year the Knights reached the NCAA tournament and won a game in the Midwest region, but then fell in the second game to Findlay 74-73. Bellarmine has reached the tournament every single season for the last decade. The Knights won the national championship in 2011 under coach Scott Davenport. In the opening round, the Knights will see automatic qualifier Walsh. Walsh gets into the tournament after a thrilling overtime win over Findlay on Saturday. This team was nearly unbeatable at home this season at 15-1. Freshman JT Shoemate leads the team in scoring at 19 points per game. Next up is the 3 seed Findlay. At 27-4 on the year, those 27 wins mark the 9th season in the last decade that Findlay has won 20 or more games. That run was started in 2009 when the Oilers won their first national championship in program history. Findlay is ranked #6 in the coaches poll. The Oilers' first-round game will feature the final team to make the field here from the Midwest region, and that team is Drury. The Panthers made a surprise run to the conference tournament championship game by beating UIndy and then #15 Lewis along the way. In the title game, Drury fell to #11 Bellarmine. However, that run and their 21-11 record helped solidify its at-large bid. So that is the bracket in the Midwest region, one that is extremely familiar to you, John Marks, with some connections to your USI ties. Some really strong teams highlight that region by Lewis, but what sticks out to you about the Midwest region?
Well, it's an incredible region. You have 4 of the last 10 national champions have come from that region. You have 4 schools in the region right in the tournament today with Southern Indiana, Bellarmine, Findlay, and Drury that have won national championships. Lewis won an incredible regular season in the GLVC. So it's a loaded region as it always is, and it'll be whoever gets out of that will have a great shot in Evansville Team Elite 8.
Well, that is the Midwest region, and one half of the bracket is complete. To the other side of the bracket we go with our next set of 8 teams that will represent the South region. Hosting as the 1 seed is Nova Southeastern at 26-3 from the SSC. Mark Matthew is the conference newcomer of the year in the Sunshine State, leading the team with nearly 20 points and 10 rebounds per game, a double-double. Nova Southeastern will host the 8th seed in the opening round, and that is the champions of the SIAC, Miles. Miles checks in with an automatic bid. Last season, the Golden Bears went just 7-20, but behind Coach Fred Watson and the stingiest defense in the country this year, Miles posted a 21-8 record. It's one of the best turnarounds in the entire country. Devontae Fuller leads the team in scoring, but they will have their hands full in the first round against Nova Southeastern. Up next is the 4 seed Valdosta State. Winners of the GSC regular season crown, the Blazers receive an at-large bid after being ranked number 18 in the final coaches poll of the year. Its first round game will feature West Alabama, who finished second in the GSC and reached the conference tournament semifinals. The Tigers come into the NCAA tournament with a 22-7 record under Coach Alan Sharp. This is West Alabama's first trip to the tournament since 2015. That year, the Tigers fell in the first round to West Georgia. Florida Southern claims its spot next as the 2 seed out of the SSC. Florida Southern went 24-7 this season and is just 4 years removed from its national championship when it beat IUP for the crown in 2015. Florida Southern's first round game will feature Delta State. Delta State stands 19-11 on the year. The last 2 teams qualifying in the South region is the Fighting Knights of Lynn University. Lynn finished second in the SSC but was beat by Florida Southern in the conference tournament. With a 23-6 record and a national ranking at number 22, Lynn receives an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament and a chance to extend its season. Lynn will play against the 6th seed Alabama Huntsville at 24-7. Well, John Mark, that's the South region. We've seen some champions come out of here before, but what do you like in this region this year?
Well, again, powerhouse programs. Florida Southern won the championship in Evansville a few years ago. Alabama Huntsville's consistent member of the dance, so to speak. And Nova Southeastern, what a way that program has elevated over the last few years. Now, not only making the tournament, but hosting it. So again, just a really strong region top to bottom. Be really interested to see who comes out of the South.
Well, that is the South region. As we continue back to the bracket and on to the Southeast region, checking in at the host of this one and the number 1 seed for the region is Queens in Charlotte. Queens was the regular season champion of the South Atlantic Conference. The Royals are 28-4 and ranked number 7 nationally. Prior to being upset in the conference tournament, they had won 9 straight games. Sean Willett averages a double-double with nearly 20 points and 12 rebounds per game. For Queens, the Royals won the Southeast region last year. Advancing on to the Elite 8, they beat California Baptist and then lost to Northern State for the right to go on to the national championship. The Royals' first round opponent this year is the 8 seed Emmanuel out of Georgia. Emmanuel walks into the NCAA tournament with an automatic bid as tournament champions and regular season champions of the CC. Emmanuel is 25-9 on the year, having won 6 of their last 7 games. Senior Kendrick Colvin leads the team in scoring at 19 points per game. Brandon Simpson and Austin Green also contribute double figures as well, with 14 and 12 points respectively. The 4 seed Catawba is our next team into the tournament field at 23-7. It will see UNC Pembroke as the 5 seed. Behind Coach Ben Miller, the Braves are recipients of an at-large selection. This is the 3rd straight trip to the NCAA tournament and the 6th in the last 9 years. The Braves are one of the youngest teams in the field with just 1 senior on the roster. To the bottom half of the Southeast region we go, and it's the 2 seed Augusta at 26-5. Out of the PBC, it will take on Francis Marion in the opening round as the 7 seed. Francis Marion stands at 21-8 on the season, having one of its best years in program history. The Patriots will have a chance to continue their luck with an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament field. The final matchup in the Southeast region features the 3 seed and the 6 seed. In as the 3 seed at 26-5 is USC Aiken. Out of the PBC, it will see Lenore Rhine out of the SAC at 21-10, which claims the 6th seed. So that is a complete look at the Southeast region. John Mark, Queens came so close to contending for a national championship last year. What stands in the way of that being a possibility this year with this region?
Well, there are a lot of good teams, and Queens will be the favorite. They've been to the Elite 8, made a great run last year, but Augusta, South Carolina, Aiken, Catawba have just had great regular seasons. And some of those programs are tournament tested. They've been there before. So Queens will have its hands full, but we'll see what happens. And again, whoever comes out of this region will have a good shot at making some progress at the Elite 8 in Evansville.
Well, that is the Southeast region. We move on down and turn our attention to the South Central region. Serving as the host of this region is the number 1 seed West Texas A&M. West Texas A&M won the Lone Star Conference by beating Texas A&M Commerce this afternoon. Brandon Hall absolutely went off, scoring 32 points in the title game. Hall averages a respectable 12 points per game. This is the third straight tournament appearance for Coach Tom Brown and the Buffs. They ranked number 4 in the country in the final coaches poll of the year. Their opening round game is against the 8 seed New Mexico Highlands. Champions of the RMAC tournament, New Mexico Highlands claimed their spot in the NCAA tournament field with a 22-9 record. Waquana Mitchell and Jared Davis both average above 20 points per game. It's one of the best scoring duos in the entire country. In the championship game against Black Hill State, they combined to score 38 points. 4 seed Texas A&M Commerce is next in. Texas A&M Commerce reaches the tournament by an at-large selection. The Lions fell in the championship game of the LSC tournament to West Texas A&M. Senior guard Willie Rooks made history in this year's conference tournament. However, in the semifinals, Rooks scored 13 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, and dished out 10 assists in a win. It was the first triple-double in conference tournament history. The Lions are 23-8 on the season and making their 3rd straight trip to the NCAA tournament. Their first round game will be against Dallas Baptist. Out of the Heartland Conference, Dallas Baptist enters the tournament with a 23-9 record. The other co-host of the South Central region is 2 seed St. Edwards. St. Edwards comes into the tournament at 27-3. It will serve as co-host since the women's program at West Texas A&M also will host the South Central region in the women's tournament, just like the West Texas A&M men on the men's side. So St. Edwards will play co-host and play 7 seed Angelo State in the first round, who qualifies for the first time since 2016. That year, the Rams made a run all the way to the South Central region final. 3 seed Colorado School of Mines is next. Ranked number 12 nationally, the Ore Diggers won the RMAC regular season title and stand 25-5 on the year. They are led at point guard by Conference Player of the Year Ben Sonnefeld and Co-Defensive Player of the Year Ben Clare at center. This is the program's 6th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance and hoping to return to the Elite Eight after their first appearance in 2017. They get 6th seed in an at-large selection, Lubbock Christian. Lubbock Christian lost in the Heartland Conference tournament to Oklahoma Christian. Coach Todd Duncan and his team at 20-9. It's just the 2nd time in school history Lubbock Christian has won 20 or more games in a season. There are 8 teams that will represent the South Central region, and John Mark, there they are. It's a unique situation with the co-hosting teams. As a committee, what goes into that decision and the logistics of the co-host situation?
Well, it's a good question. A few years ago, the Men's and Women's Committee got together and decided that if you had the possibility of a men's and women's team both hosting the regional, that we would need to split it to be fair to the participating teams and the integrity of the bracket. So this will be the first time we do it. Again, both of those teams, West Texas A&M and St. Edwards, are very deserving, and we'll see what happens coming out of that region. But again, it'll be interesting dynamics as committee members will really take a hard look and make sure it's working the right way, and then make a decision at the end of the year if we'll keep with this system.
Well, that is the co-host. St. Edwards, the 2 seed, West Texas A&M as the 1 seed. They will co-host in the South Central region. As we start into the West region and the final 8 teams, the first team to claim its spot and the 1 seed here in the final region is Point Loma. The Sea Lions enter the tournament with an automatic bid as champions of the Pac West Conference. The Sea Lions defeated Concordia yesterday in the title game 67-58. It completed the sweep of the conference regular season and tournament crowns. Preston Beverly was named the most outstanding player of the Pac West tournament. Junior forward Dalton Holmes, on the other hand, ranks 18th in the NCAA with 22 points per game. Point Loma is the number 10 team in the country according to the final coaches poll, and in the opening round, they will see Western Oregon. They'll take their shot at the Sea Lions as the 8 seed. Last year, Western Oregon was the team to beat in Division II. At 31-2, the Wolves were upset in the region final by Cal Baptist. The Wolves this season have posted a 22-10 record. This is a very balanced offense with 4 players averaging double figures. On down to the second matchup. Welcome to the tournament, UC San Diego. As the 4 seed, UC San Diego locked in its tournament fate by winning the CCAA Tournament Championship for the 4th time in school history. At 25-7, this is a team that could make some noise in the NCAA Tournament. Conference Player of the Year Chris Hansen leads the team with 15 points and 8 rebounds per game. Congratulations to UC San Diego on their conference crown and bid into the NCAA tournament. Next up is the 5 seed, and that is Cal Poly Pomona. The Broncos made the tournament last year but lost in the opening game to St. Martin's. This is the program's 6th tournament appearance in the last 7 years, but the Broncos have yet to advance to the Elite Eight by winning the West region. Moving down to the 2-7 matchup, in as the 2 seed is Seattle Pacific. As champions of the GNAC, Seattle Pacific enters the tournament with an automatic bid. The Falcons defeated Western Oregon in the championship game 78-66. This is the first tournament appearance since 2016 for Seattle Pacific and Coach Grant Leap. The Falcons will get 7th seed. Chaminade, we say aloha to those of you in Hawaii and the Silver Swords out of the Pac West with a 23-7 record. The Swords qualify for the tournament field as an at-large bid. Grant Dressler leads the team with 19 points per game. Down the bracket is the 3 seed, and that is St. Martin's at 24-5. The Saints finished as the number 14 team in the country this season. That marked their first ever GNAC regular season title in program history. Head coach Alex Pribble was named the Conference Coach of the Year as well. Coach Pribble will have to game plan for the 6th seed this year, and that is Concordia at 23-9. Concordia enters the tournament after a run to the Pac West Tournament Championship. The Eagles fell in the Pac West Championship game, but received an at-large bid into the tournament. So there you have it, the West region. John Mark, 1 through 8, what draws your attention with these 8 teams in our final region tonight?
Sure. I think what really we looked at as a committee, there was a few different teams really jockeying for those top couple spots all season long. And so, you know, it shows the balance in the region, really some teams battling hard down the stretch to put themselves in a seed position that would benefit their program. So I'll be really anxious to see how this plays out, because again, really balanced and some teams really jockeying for those top few positions.
Well, John Mark, final question. Now that you've had a chance as a committee member to step back from the bracket, what excites you the most as this year's tournament approaches?
Well, there are just so many good teams in Division II basketball right now. I hope that the fans of college basketball in general really follow this tournament and follow these teams along the way. And as we get to Evansville for the Elite Eight, I think it's a wide open tournament. We obviously have some teams that we might consider favorites early on, but again, there are so many good teams in Division II basketball. The level of play is outstanding and exciting. I hope all the fans in the country get out to the regional tournaments, and hopefully some will head to Evansville to watch this exciting Elite Eight.
Well, John Mark, thanks so much for joining us, and a big congratulations to all the teams who qualified for this year's tournament field. We want to say best of luck to all the student athletes who will be competing in this year's field. We hope you can join us for the Elite Eight at the Ford Center in Evansville, Indiana. The opening rounds will start March 15 with the championship slated for March 30th. Thanks once again for joining us tonight. For John Mark Hall and the selection committee, my name is Tyler Bradfield. This has been the 2019 NCAA Division II Men's Basketball Selection Show. We say good night from everyone here at NCAA.com.
Big shots.
This is a really nice finish.
Big dunks.
Cuts hard to the basket.
This trophy is not given. It must be earned. The 2019 NCAA Division II Men's Basketball Elite Eight. March 27th through 30th at the Ford Center in Evansville.
And that'll do it!
Visit ncaa.com/tickets to get your tickets today.